the station working for you. This is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
And now at 11, a little more than 2 weeks until Election Day, and Hoosiers are still turning out to vote early in record numbers.
People from across the state don't seem to mind standing in long lines for hours to make their voices heard at the polls. New this year in Marion County, voters may be tapping their toes while they wait. WRTV's Cameron Riddle shows you how professionals struggling to make ends meet during the pandemic are finding a new audience among early voters.
When you go vote early in Marion County, the wait times can be long. But in the shadow of the city-county building is musical relief and live entertainment.
Because I have nothing to live for.
The venues that we normally sing at, like the Jazz Kitchen, the Chatterbox, we don't know when they're going to open. We don't know when we're going to have the opportunity to do that. So the fact that there are other ways for us to be able to do it is going to be fantastic.
Goldie Taylor is one of 85 Indianapolis-based performers hosting 100 free live shows to an audience of early voters.
My lips, my eyes, I'm loving what I see. I'm not the average girl on your video.
Thanks to the pandemic, the show in Lunar Plaza is the first paying gig many of the singers, musicians, and bands have had in months.
I'm sitting here and I'm resting my bones.
This is all I do for a living, so it's barely making ends meet. Everybody knows musicians are starving musicians. This opportunity, it doesn't matter what it pays, it's just the fact that we're able to get out and do something, especially when the community they're out here and they can tell that, we can tell that the music is soothing them.
Karin Haley is the executive director of the Indianapolis Cultural Trail, which runs through Lunar Plaza. She came up with the idea of live music after seeing the long lines to vote.
I think everyone was, very pleasantly surprised with how many people were coming out to vote early, and the line in Lunar Plaza just kept getting longer and longer and longer.
The live music here in Lunar Plaza is not something you normally see here in Indianapolis. I voted this past Friday and spent 90 minutes standing here in line. That's when I first saw Goldie. Her music made all the difference.
I've been talking about Friday since I finished Friday. I went home, I was cheering to my sister. I was like, you just don't understand, it was so wonderful.
Cameron Riddle, WRTV.
And artists of all genres are performing every day of early voting. The Cultural Trail has a lineup of performers posted online. In the first 14 days, more than 21,000 Hoosiers have voted early in Marion County. And more early voting sites are opening this week across Indiana. If you want to vote by mail, the deadline to request an absentee ballot is this Thursday, but you are encouraged to make your request as soon as possible. Election officials must receive your completed ballot by noon on Election Day. If you don't think you have enough time to return by mail, you can drop off your ballot in person.
New at 11, mute buttons will be in play for the final presidential debate on Thursday. The Nonpartisan Debate Commission announced the new rule tonight. President Trump and challenger Joe Biden will have their microphones cut off while the opposing candidate gives their opening 2-minute answer to each of the topics. This comes 3 weeks after the chaotic first debate. Indiana's gubernatorial candidates will debate tomorrow. Republican Governor Eric Holcomb, Democratic challenger Woody Myers, and Libertarian candidate Donald Rainwater will discuss the issues virtually as a COVID safety precaution. You can watch the debate at 7 o'clock tomorrow night on the WRTV Facebook page.
Now to the forecast. Rain continues overnight and more rainy days are ahead. WRTV Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory joins us now with our first look at our forecast at 11. Hey, Kev.
How about that, Amanda? We may have 4 days in a row with measurable rainfall. Yesterday in the books, today in the books, maybe tomorrow morning, and then again Wednesday morning. There's a lot going on all of a sudden. Let's talk about the showers tonight. They continue. They'll be scattered. Not everybody will see additional rain. The warming trend starts tomorrow. Modest start tomorrow. You'll really feel the difference as we get to Thursday and temperatures push 80 degrees. There's the current radar just north of Richmond to Winchester. Some rain. Also Frankfort over toward Tipton. Along 31 as you go through the day tomorrow. Those temperatures will work their way into the upper 50s, but not until late in the day. Notice By the time we get to 7 tomorrow night, another area of showers, maybe isolated thunderstorms is forming. I'll finish that timeline for you, talk about additional rainfall, and focus on all the temperature changes ahead coming up.
A Hendricks County father is grateful his son is not seriously hurt after a dangerous Halloween trick on the highway.
It's a miracle. I mean, God had to have been looking over him for him not to, you know, jerk the steering wheel and go off the side of the road or whatever.
Joe Needham says his 20-year-old son was driving on I-70 when a pumpkin smashed through the windshield. Caleb Needham says it happened under the South County Road 525 East overpass at around 4 o'clock Sunday morning. Caleb and his dad are worried this could happen again and that the next person will not be so lucky.
One of the things that strikes me the most is the carelessness of some people's actions. You know, whether it was a teenager or whoever, and maybe it wasn't even a teenager, you know, just the carelessness of someone's actions, trying to have what they think is fun, but could have caused serious consequences, more so than just smashing a window. You know, he could have went across a median, ran into other vehicles, could have resulted in death.
I'm just so thankful, that it happened, the way it did, and, I didn't have anyone in the passenger seat. It came through the passenger seat and not the driver's side. Or, it wasn't a family traveling back from, vacation and, the family loses one of their children or, their mother or father.
And WRTV reached out to the Hendricks County Sheriff's Office for more info on this case. We will let you know if there are any updates.
2 recent deaths at the Marion County Jail are raising some fears. Investigators say 2 inmates were killed 1 week apart at the hands of other inmates. A woman who has asked not to be identified spoke to WRTV about her concerns. She says her son is incarcerated at the Marion County Jail. The mother is worried more deadly attacks will happen if the jail does not make safety improvements.
Anyone that has a loved one in there has to be feeling the same way. You just don't know what to do. You don't know how to help them or how to get this fixed. It's not our place to judge them. That's why they're in there to go to court. The jail needs to get this fixed. They need to get it fixed now before someone else gets killed.
The Marion County Sheriff's Office declined an interview request, saying both deaths are still under investigation. But the office released a statement saying, in part, quote, "Though it is a fact that sheriff's deputies and detention deputies are underpaid, overworked, and the MCSO is understaffed, we have not concluded that this is the cause for either of the deaths at this time," end quote.
The pandemic may be to blame for putting lives at risk in ways that are not directly related to COVID-19. According to the Indiana Coalition Against Domestic Violence, deaths connected to domestic violence have increased by 86% across the Hoosier state compared to this time last year. Sadly, many domestic violence advocates predicted this trend.
Kind of all the factors that worsen domestic violence or intimate partner violence, just exacerbated by this pandemic, those same kind of things, financial insecurity, losing jobs, and we knew this is going to be potentially bad with people being stuck at home together.
Julie Morrison is a forensic nurse at IU Health Methodist Hospital. While emergency shelters are working overtime to find safe housing for people in need, capacity and resources are limited. However, Morrison says anyone who needs help should not hesitate to reach out.
Come to the hospital. You can even call the hospital. I get calls just from the operator, a stranger saying, "What do I do?" They don't know that there's somewhere they can go for help.
The National Domestic Violence Hotline is staffed 24 hours a day. The number is 800-799-7233, or you can visit the website at thehotline.org.
Positive COVID cases and the percentage of positive cases in Indiana continue to grow. The 7-day positivity rate among unique individuals is now at 11.8%. ABC's Ramina Puga reports states across the country are also dealing with spikes.
As the country's coronavirus cases continue to rise and cooler autumn temperatures force more of us indoors, governors and mayors urge Americans to take the virus seriously.
Make no mistake, we are in the second surge.
It's going to be a precarious fall across the country.
In El Paso, Texas, a 500% increase in cases this month.
This is by far the highest number of patients that we've had since the pandemic began.
At one point over the weekend, only 7 ICU beds were open in a region with over 1 million people.
The more positives, the more hospitalizations, the more ICUs, the more respirators, and then ultimately the more deaths.
Hospitalizations are up in 41 states. Healthcare workers at the University of North Carolina Hospital in Chapel Hill say they're overworked and overwhelmed.
It's probably another day I don't cry. I'll just sit in my office, I'll cry.
And overseas, a surge as well. In France, the positivity rate is up, and so are the deaths.
We don't know, we can't predict what the second wave is going to be like. We don't know how long it's going to be, how intense it's going to be.
In the UK, Wales was ordered to go into total lockdown Friday. And in Ireland, with the number of cases surging, that country returning to a full-scale lockdown for 6 weeks.
One top infectious disease expert warns that the next 6 to 12 weeks are going to be the darkest of the entire pandemic. Romina Puga, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Coming up, how flu season is creating job opportunities across central Indiana, and a little later.
This actually is counter to our common assumptions of how, these folks would spend the cash.
Could giving thousands of dollars directly to people living in the streets help in the fight against homelessness? What a recent experiment found.
From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 11, streaming now.
Many companies are hiring Hoosiers as the seasons change. CVS is hosting a virtual job fair on Thursday as it prepares for a boost in flu-related business. The drugstore chain is adding 15,000 new workers across the country, including 150 jobs in the Indianapolis metro area. Most of the positions are for full and part-time licensed pharmacy technicians, but the company is also hiring pharmacists, nurse practitioners, and distribution center employees. And just in time for the holiday shopping season, Amazon's new fulfillment center in Greenfield is open for business. Employees there receive inventory, pick and ship customer orders, and support network logistics. For more info about jobs with Amazon or CVS, go to hiringhoosiers.com.
The city of Indianapolis is taking steps to make it more convenient for residents to recycle. A new community recycling drop-off site is now open at the Pike Township Trustee's office on Lafayette Road near 56th Street. The Department of Public Works says the goal is to improve recycling access to neighbors on the northwest side. You are not allowed to leave trash, furniture, hazardous waste, or any other non-recyclable material at recycling sites. The department continues to search for new locations to recycle, especially on the northwest and east sides of Marion County. Forget planting a flag. The next person on the moon may be able to post a selfie on Instagram. NASA wants to establish technology on the moon and has awarded dozens of contracts to companies to make it happen. Nokia received a $14 million deal. It's part of the agency's goal to establish a lunar base and maintain a human presence on the moon by the year 2028.
And Kevin Gregory joins us now with a forecast of what's happening here on our planet. Kevin, a little bit of rain here.
I'm still laughing about the idea of posting a selfie from the moon. Wouldn't that be funny if we find out that there's life elsewhere in the universe because they send something back from Mars or something weird?
Be like, what?
All right. Yeah, exactly. 44, that's temperature in the Kokomo. Pretty steady temperatures. The cloud cover around and the rain showers will keep these temperatures from changing too much. And the wind is relatively light. There's the rain kind of from, well, Tipton County's got the most now. Northwest Hamilton County, all of this moving to the east. We'll see these scattered showers overnight. I want to stress, this is not the overnight rainfall expected. This is really through Wednesday morning. There'll be another shot of rain tomorrow night into Wednesday. Look at the temperature trend. I mentioned 80 degrees. You'll feel 80 degrees Thursday. Temperatures are a little cooler Friday. We still manage 75, and then the bottom drops out for the weekend. Here's the game plan, 58 during the evening hours. Tuesday, our temperature will slowly ramp up through the day tomorrow and really peak tomorrow night. That's when our rain chances are greatest, tomorrow night into early Wednesday. It will be dry and 80 on Thursday. That's a great combination. The wind that starts out of the east tomorrow eventually comes out of the south tomorrow night. That's why our temperatures will be in the upper 50s even at this time tomorrow night, pushing our high temperature by midnight, just depending on the timing of the rain. Let's pick up the timeline. And as we go into the evening hours tomorrow, there's 9 o'clock, 11, the showers, maybe a rumble of thunder will come together with that line as it moves to the east. But again, I think the focus for the heaviest rain is going to be over the southern portion of central Indiana through the morning hours on Wednesday. Here's one of the forecast models, hints at another inch to almost 2 inches in some spots. Remember, Bloomington, Columbus, Nashville all had well over an inch today, so you're making up for the deficit here in the next 24 to 48 hours. Wednesday, the rain ends in the first half of the day. Will dry out. Temperature hits 70 for the high. That's the beginning, and it jumps quickly on Thursday. A dry day, high temperature Thursday at 80. Friday, the chance for showers and some thunderstorms will come Friday evening, Friday night along a cold front that will take 75 and knock that temperature back all the way to 56 Saturday. Sunday and Monday, our rain chances come back up a bit, especially on Monday, and the temperatures moderate just a little bit as well. That's a 7-day forecast.
Thank you, Kevin. Homelessness continues to be an issue in downtown Indianapolis and other big cities around the world, and there's no clear way to solve the problem. Recently, an advocacy group conducted an experiment. They gave people living on the streets thousands of dollars. Scripps reporter Dan Grossman shares these results.
The streets can be home to the disenfranchised. Those often ridiculed for their circumstance and plight.
There just wasn't any work available, so it was like really frustrating. I was like, well, better dig in for the long haul.
But unless you have lived like Benjamin Dunning, how can you assume the value of help to others like him?
Most of them are just people that had got stuck on hard times and trying to figure out how to deal with it.
The National Alliance to End Homelessness estimates right now there are 567,000 people who call the streets their home, a number that has only grown as fears of job loss and evictions have increased since COVID started.
Just sometimes a little bit of a hand up can mean all the difference in whether somebody is going to stabilize and get into housing or not.
As the Chief Public Policy Officer for the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless, Kathy Alderman deals with many of them and has learned that most times charity received is charity well spent, despite what many might think.
I think it's not surprising at all that people who are struggling with the cost of living and forced to sleep outside would use dollars given to them to get inside into a home.
Back in 2018, a group called Foundations for Social Change, a charitable organization in Canada, gave 50 people experiencing homelessness in Vancouver a lump sum of $5,700 to see what they would do with it.
The key findings were phenomenal. They're actually well beyond my expectations.
Even one of the study's head researchers, Jiaying Zhao, was surprised by what they found when they analyzed the data for the first time recently. In the first month, 70% were able to access a sustainable food source, which they maintained for the rest of the year. They found stable housing at a rate that outpaced those who hadn't received the payments by 12 months. The researchers also found, perhaps most importantly, that spending on items like drugs, alcohol, and cigarettes decreased by 39%.
This actually is counter to our common assumptions of how, these folks would spend the cash. So that was very good to see.
I would save a third, spend a third on the stuff that I know I needed, and then give a third away.
This isn't to say addiction isn't there, but it is to say for folks like Benjamin, stigmas are perhaps one of the greatest barriers to overcome when trying to simultaneously overcome their circumstance.
Having a little bit more compassion, I think, will make this a much easier issue to resolve.
I'm Dan Grossman reporting.
The City of Indianapolis and community partners have created several programs in recent years aimed at helping people experiencing homelessness get back on their feet. Recently, the city announced more than $7 million in funding for rapid rehousing. The money helps pay for rent and connects people to employment and other services. And the Coalition for Homelessness Intervention and Prevention is a prominent local advocacy group. You can learn more about the organization's mission at chipindy.org. We'll be right back.
The Colts have some extra time to savor Sunday's big comeback win as they take a bye. But local football fans have the return of Big Ten to look forward to this week. WRTV's Brad Brown starts tonight with Purdue as the Boilermakers now prepare to kick off the season without their head coach.
Practice will continue at Purdue this week, but Jeff Brom will be spending the next several days away from his team. The head coach confirming on Monday he has tested positive for COVID-19.
It's unfortunate, and it's not ideal timing, but that's the way that the world works today. And I think that our team is in great position right now to move forward.
The Big Ten started daily testing of coaches and players on September 30th. 0 positives among Purdue's student athletes. The coach is confident that his guys can take care of business while he watches from somewhere else.
We've had a lot of good work up to this point, a lot of good practices, and I think our team is ready to play. And I applaud our coaching staff for the work they've done as well to get our guys ready, and we'll continue to proceed forward.
Purdue opens at home against Iowa on Saturday. 21 points down, no big deal.
What I love about this team is, nobody panicked. Everybody, stayed on track. Nobody was pointing fingers. Everybody was looking at themselves and how they can do better. And, it was all across the board.
It's the kind of comeback that could really turn the season in an entirely different direction for the Colts.
I wasn't feeling any panic from anyone. Over 17 years, you've been down 21-0 before, and sometimes it doesn't go good after that. Sometimes it does.
After pretty much not showing up for the entire first quarter Sunday, the Colts rattled together 3 very impressive quarters after that. Phillip Rivers threw for 235 yards in the second quarter alone. That was more than he had in 3 of the previous 4 games.
The guys, we just said, let's play. We got 3 quarters, and we spotted them 21. So what? What are we going to do? Let's go. So that was kind of the mindset. And then we got kind of hot in that second quarter, coming in at halftime the way we did. The unbelievable catch by Zach.
We're all NFL players, we got to – it's not going to be perfect every time and a lot of times it is perfect with Phillip and where he puts it. And you got to make plays, you got to catch the ball. That's our job.
The defense got dominated early. Then they turned that narrative around. Kept the Bengals out of the end zone in the second half. And once again, it was a late takeaway by rookie Julian Blackmon to close it out.
Definitely had a feeling that he was going to go back to the slot. All game that they were gashing us for some good yardage. Just trying to get him comfortable in the offense. So, they were giving him easier throws. We fixed it in the second half and, made the play on that on the last play of the game.
It seems like every win has come with a new player emerging for a breakout performance. Week 6 saw Marcus Johnson catch 5 passes for 108 yards. His 57-yard reception in the first half brought the offense its first spark.
When you're comfortable with a playbook, it's not hard to get in that groove. So for me, it was just the work ethic. Whether I was dealing with injuries and had to rehab to get back or whatever, staying in tune with the playbook. And whatever I needed to do so when that opportunity came, was ready.
The schedule has done the Colts some favors in this first part of the season. These first 3 home wins have come against 3 of the league's worst teams. That script gets flipped when we go to November. The likes of the Ravens, the Titans, and the Packers, 3 of the league's very best teams, will be coming here. The Colts will get back at action after the bye with a game at Detroit. Brad Brown, WRTV Sports.
Showers will diminish during the morning hours tomorrow. Then we'll wait for the rain probabilities to go back up tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. Could see another ½ inch or over an inch to the south of Indy by Wednesday. Then we feel the warmth, Mark, as we get to Thursday at 80.
All right, getting closer, Kevin. Thank you. We've got Monday down in the books. That's done. On to Tuesday. Thanks for joining us tonight. GMI heads your way tomorrow at 4:30.